What's going on, everyone? Welcome to the Pride of Detroit POD your home for all things related to the Detroit Lions. We are here on another Victory Monday. Probably not the Victory Monday that I was hoping for, guys. If I'm being completely honest with you, when we were talking about the Lions going against the Browns, I expected to come in here with a lot more energy, a lot more excitement, but this was a tough one that the Lions had to kind of gut out this week. But we're going to get into that and a whole lot more of our other takeaways from this game. First and foremost, I'm your host Miko. You can find me over at Twitter on at the Miko Scott. Joined once again by our amazing co-host. First and foremost, we have your senior editor over at prideofdetroit.com, Ryan Matthews at Ryan_POD. Ryan, you look a little worn. You look a little tired. It's almost like you had to go against the Browns defense yesterday.
Well, I didn't have to go against it. I just had to watch it, unfortunately. And by that, I mean the Browns offense. I mean, I think we can all agree that we're all a little bit worse for wear after having to watch Joe Flacco like a dog that is just past its best days. And sorry, old Yeller.
Oh God. This is the
We're gonna have
darkest start to a podcast after a win.
Listen, man, that's where we have gotten to, Jeremy, as like, as fans that have just been spoiled. We're just used to 30-point explosive wins, Jamo catching five, six, seven bombs in a game. Like we're just a little jaded at this point. That's your editor in chief over at Pride of Detroit, Jeremy Reisman at Detroit Online. Jeremy, bring some excitement, bring some energy, give us a reason to be happy, other than the fact that they won. Because again, being 3-1 on top of the division is a reason to be happy, is a reason to be excited.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, first place in the division after what happened in week one of the season. You took it to a Browns team who defeated a division rival last week. And listen, I know it wasn't the prettiest thing in the world, and we've grown accustomed to these blowout wins and trick plays and offensive explosions, but you still hung 34 on the Cleveland Browns thanks to what was a pretty well complimentary football game. And this is something that Dan Campbell continues to preach all season. And I've mentioned it a few times on the podcast already. They found another way to win. They found, like, they've been comparing themselves to like chameleons, right? They can win with their defense. They can win with their special teams. They can win with Jameer as the lead back. They can win with David as their lead back. They found out another way that they win, another kind of opponent that they can still beat. And I think that's the most exciting thing about this game is they can, a team that is putting up historic numbers against the run, that should be like this team's kryptonite, right? That's what everything the Lions want to do, and they still put up 100 yards. Jahmyr Gibbs still averaged over 6 yards a carry, and they won by 24 points. Like, it's getting harder and harder to build a Frankenstein's monster of a team in which you can build it in a way that would actually beat the Detroit Lions because they have so many different ways that they can beat you.
That comment was for one person. Thank you. I appreciate
You're
that.
welcome. I would look you dead in the eyes.
I will say though, like I as much as I am kind of joking about being jaded and just used to like blowout wins, like it is still good and reassuring to see this team win in different ways, because this is probably one of the ways that they may have to win later in the season, where hey, maybe you don't get off to this explosive start, Ryan. Maybe you do have to grind at it a little bit, especially when you look at some of the defenses that the Lions may have to go against, later in the season. But like Dan said, they found another way to win. And I think it still kind of speaks true to the identity that Dan wants this team to have, which is to be multifaceted, right?
100%. If this game was reminiscent of a game from last season, do you guys know what game I'm thinking of?
Titans.
Yeah, it was the Titans game, right? Like it was 100% the Titans game. It was, I mean, if you guys remember from that game, the offense had 225 total yards
Yep.
of offense.
Yep.
They had 61 passing yards and 164 rushing yards. Jared Goff managed to throw for a little bit more. You know what I mean? Like it, but I think it's past the point. Like the common criticism I think is that Lions fans could be a bit spoiled, right? And I think that was something that I tried to get at in my Monday morning article, was that I don't think that the Lions fans are spoiled. I think it's a cause for a shift in perspective. When one of these games happens, there isn't something that knocks your socks off. It isn't like, man, Jared Goff, a perfect day, or the offense runs for 200 plus yards like they did against Baltimore, or maybe even the quality of opponent, right? You had questions about if the Browns would be able to accomplish anything on offense. And I mean, lo and behold, they did on the very first drive of the game. But I think if you look at this game from a different perspective, you see a football team that, to your point, Jeremy, like styles make fights. The Lions just have a bunch of styles. And they were all like on display. None of them like, incredible. None of them perfect, but it's enough that by the end of the game, it looks the way it looks. It ends up being 34-10. It ends up looking like a drubbing, right? But I mean, is that the fourth straight game where the Lions have given up an opening
Yeah, every single
touchdown?
game this year.
Yeah, on the offense's first drive. That's something interesting. But lo and behold, Meko, it didn't matter in the end. You know what I mean? Like, because there was the Khalif Raymond punt return for a touchdown. There was, the strip sacks. There were turnovers that got called back. Like this game felt in hand as soon as Jahmyr Gibbs crossed that goal line to tie the game up at 7-7. It was like, all right, this game's over. The
Yeah,
Browns had their shot.
I will say the turnovers getting reversed. If we can stop that for the rest of the season, like that would be awesome. Like if we could have like one game where every turnover sticks, that would be great.
Yeah.
But Jeremy, like I do agree with Ryan in the sense that like yeah, there was some early like concern where it's like, oh, like the Browns kind of just like marched down the field with a couple of big throws by Joe Flacco, where it started to look like old Joe Flacco back in the day, and it was like, oh, he's connecting with Jerry Jeudy, and like these receivers are creating a good amount of separation between themselves and some of these corners. But from that standpoint, like after that first initial drive, like it's like the Lions kind of woke up and like Dan kind of like probably tapped a couple helmets. It was like, hey, they came to play. How are you going to respond? And they responded in the way that they seem to consistently respond in most situations.
Yeah. Flacco was 6 of 6 to start the game. The rest of the way, he went 10 of 28, which is quite awful. That's terrible. And so, yeah, you saw the defense. And I know when we see Kelvin Shepherd on Thursday, he's going to be like, it wasn't good enough. We got this bugaboo with the first drives of the game. That can't happen. That can't happen against good teams. You don't want to put yourself in a hole like that. And you really don't, right? You put yourself in a hole like that. You never know what happens after that. Maybe your offense has a turnover, and then suddenly you're down 2 scores, and then suddenly you kind of have to get away from your game script a little bit. You really can't have that continue, but it certainly is promising to see them bounce back like that in a pretty big way. I mean, they did everything they wanted to defensively, I would say, after that moment where I think they had 10 pass breakups on the day, maybe 9, 2 interceptions, obviously. Maybe 3 sacks isn't what you wanted, but Aiden was certainly Aiden again, and the run defense continues to be fantastic. I know Quidshot Judkins did basically everything you could possibly do with the yards that he was given, with the blocking he was given, but he still managed just 3.9 yards a carry on 21 carries. And so I think you have to still come out of that game pretty optimistic about the defense, despite what happened early on, and despite the fact that the Browns offense just is not very, very good.
Yeah, and I think that's like you have to be as a team able to win the games that you're quote unquote supposed to, right? I think like a lot of people when they saw this opponent on the schedule felt like, okay, yeah, this should be a game that the Lions should be able to win and win handedly. And Ryan, for them to go in and do that, like we've already talked about, maybe not in the prettiest of ways, still is a check mark in the right direction because now you can start to build some momentum and build towards maybe towards stringing a couple of games along. You have Cincinnati that's coming up, and they're a team that's kind of going through their own struggles. But I think these are the types of games that the Lions still need just to kind of remind them that, like, hey, just because a team may be quote unquote not good in the media's eyes doesn't mean that they can't still put up a good fight come Sunday.
Yeah, it's going to be true throughout the entire length of an NFL schedule, right? Like if you looked at this, schedule that the Lions have in front of them right now at Cincinnati, at Kansas City, and then the Tampa Bay Buccaneers before they go on bye, my goodness, you have to face Joe Burrow. You have to go into Arrowhead and play the, defending AFC champion Kansas City Chiefs, and then a team that is it's becoming a little bit of a rivalry. I like the rivalry I think that the Lions have going with Tampa Bay, but those are 3 games that back in August, you're like, man, that's a really tough stretch of schedule. Are the Chiefs, or are the Ravens just absolutely already decimated to the point where they are last year's Lions, but they just accelerated it and threw a bunch of gasoline on that fire? Um, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, they're dealing with a ton of injuries, and their game against the Philadelphia Eagles yesterday, which I didn't catch a ton of it, but uh, I guess my point being that from week to week, these teams ebb and flow, right? I think a lot of people maybe gave Cleveland a little bit more credit because they played against the Packers, and the Packers had the best defense since the '85 Bears, Jeremy, after week 1, and they shut down the Detroit Lions, and they gave up 40 points to the Dallas Cowboys. Like,
Right.
And that's no slight, 'cause I think the Dallas Cowboys actually have a pretty good offense. But I guess my big question going into these 3 games before the bye here is the Lions sit at 3-1. I think any of us can say, even going back to before the season, you're pretty happy with 3-1. What record are you still feeling good about the Detroit Lions after these next 3 games?
Man, we're already looking forward. We're done with the Browns. I mean, to answer let me answer your question. I listen, if they're 5-2 at the bye, I'm happy. If they're 4-3 at the bye, I'm still probably pretty happy because this was a tough stretch of the schedule. At least by preseason perception of it. I do think the Chiefs are going to be a good team if they aren't already back to being a good team. I think Tampa, like you said, a nice little rivalry here. And listen, they should beat the Bengals, but the Lions are going to have some questions about their secondary this upcoming weekend. You are facing a couple of really good wide receivers, and certainly there are questions about the quarterback trying to get them the ball. But the Lions have given opposing quarterbacks a lot of time to get the ball to their star receivers, and so this will be the best set of receivers that the Lions have faced probably all season so far. And they'll be shorthanded. So I'm not taking anything for granted. I firmly believe in any given Sunday. So, a 4-3 start at the bye would be disappointing given where they are right now, but I would still feel fine about the team.
Yeah, I think that's how I would look at it too. Like, I'd be disappointed with 4-3, but I'd also be probably like mildly concerned, depending on how those games look, right? Because as tough as this stretch is the stretch after the bye isn't like a cakewalk either. Like you do still have to deal with Dallas. You do still have to deal with the Vikings. You have to deal with the Giants, right? You have to deal with the Eagles, the Giants team that's at least trying to spark some youth in a defense that I think is also really good over there. So like there would be some concern, but I think you would ideally want to be able to go into the bye at 5-2 just to carry, not that Jeremy believes this, but to carry that momentum into the second half of the season.
That's fair. We can pivot back to talking about the Browns game. It's just this is what the Browns game meant to me.
Yeah.
It's like a stepping stone to the rest of the schedule.
Right. No, to me, I can definitely sense some malaise or disappointment or whatever from this game, and I honestly don't feel it at all. Like I'm just like, they took care of business. This was a really, really good defense, and so the fact that it didn't look perfect on offense was to be expected. I think Graham Glasgow put it really well when it came to kind of describing how the game played out, and credit to Justin Rogers of Detroit Football Network for pulling the quote here. He says, talking about the run offense versus run defenses, quote, "We met somewhere in the middle." I don't think either team could really say that they won. You know what I mean? Like, I don't think you could say, "Oh yeah, we beat them up on the ground." It was like a stalemate. And when a strength for strength matchup happens like that, you'll kind of take that. And again, it's the reason why the Lions won the game wasn't because they controlled the line of scrimmage necessarily. It was, again, they have more ways to win than the Cleveland Browns do. Because when their strength, their run defense, is kind of mitigated, what else do they have to fall back on? It's not their quarterback. It's not their run game. It's not special teams. They don't have any of that. The Lions have ways that they can change the game without their running game working. They can pass the ball a bunch. They can get turnovers on defense. They have Khalif Raymond, a big play machine waiting to happen on special teams. And again, that is reassuring to me. because, I mean, why'd they lose in the playoffs? Well, one part of their offense wasn't working particularly well, and they didn't have the defense that they could fall back on to help them win that game. As of right now, the Lions have that, where if one part of their offense or defense or one part of their team falters, they can change the game. They can change their focus and find a way to win a ball game. And that's exactly what they did on Sunday. And that to me is it's super reassuring.
And to take that point a step further, though, you talk about Graham admitting, maybe it was a bit of a stalemate. They won a little bit, we won a little bit. Well, Jahmyr Gibbs won a lot. Jahmyr Gibbs ran for more rushing yards than the Cleveland Browns had given up to any team prior to week 4 in a game in which, and this again is your point, Jeremy, they couldn't get David Montgomery going. Like, David Montgomery just didn't get going for whatever reason. But that's okay, because the Lions have Jahmyr Gibbs. And then if Jahmyr Gibbs wasn't working, then it was Amon-Ra St. Brown. And if it wasn't Amon-Ra St. Brown, it was the defense picking them up, or Khalif Raymond, right? And it's just like, this game really showed the difference between the haves and the have-nots. And the biggest have, I think, is Dan Campbell. And that was my big takeaway from the game, is that the Lions have, bar none, one of the best coaches in the National Football League. He belongs in the Pantheon. Put him up in the top tier. It's so obvious that even on the game's first drive, Lions lose the toss. Cleveland chooses to defer. They're going to give Detroit the ball. Maybe kind of an interesting strategy to do that at home while, it's going to be quiet in Ford Field. You want to give the Lions the ball on offense to start the game. Okay, fine. The drive stalls out. It's in a spot where you couldn't fault Dan Campbell for going for it, right?
Sure.
But he makes the exact right decision in my mind. I know the Cleveland Browns end up scoring, but you want to set the tone in that game where you're like, okay, Jack Fox can pin them down deep in their own territory. Let's see Joe Flacco try to go 90 yards and score a touchdown. I mean, it happened, but the point being that I think Dan gets put into this box where he's uber aggressive coach all the time, all gas, no breaks, always going for it on fourth down. That's some of the nuance that gets lost in the discourse with Dan Campbell, is that it's not just, all the time aggressiveness overload. There's nuance, and there's some decision-making within the game that does rely on intuition. But it's intuition plus analytics, Meko, because I think if you look at any of the numbers, it would say, yeah, pin the Cleveland Browns offense deep in their own territory and see if your defense can tee off and then get the ball back for the offense in advantageous field position. Like, that's just the stuff that I think gets so lost when it comes to discussing Dan Campbell. And it is what it is, because there is no nuance in debate anymore. But he's just, that's my big takeaway from the game. So that Dan Campbell's one of the best coaches in the NFL. Put him up against anybody.
Jeremy, what was your biggest takeaway? Because I know what mine is, but I think I might also take a different route. So before I take us too far off course, I do want to know what your biggest takeaway from this game was.
Well, it's interesting because Ryan and I unknowingly both kind of wrote columns about Dan Campbell after this one, and Ryan's kind of leading into what my column was all about, which was that Dan Campbell knows how a game is going to play out before it does, and that is his superpower. I can't there was some player that talked about it either this offseason or in a previous offseason on a podcast, and for the life of me I couldn't find it last night when I was trying to pull the quote from it. But it's basically, he comes in on Wednesday and he says, hey, this is what they're going to try to do, this is what we're going to do to try to counter it. And then on Sunday, that's exactly how it plays out. And lo and behold, the very first thing Dan Campbell says in his post-game press conference today after the game on Sunday was, quote, we said going into this game, our defense was going to have to set the tone and special teams. And offensively, man, we'll be smart. We'll find our spots, and we'll really, for the most part, that's the way the day went. Again, like, he knew exactly how it was played out. And I think you pointed out that first drive is a perfect example. They knew special teams and defense were going to carry them in this one, so they relied on their special teams to pin them deep, and they relied on their defense to get them a stop. And even though it didn't happen on that drive, it happened the rest of the game. Jack Fox was excellent all game. Pinned them inside the 20 at least 2 or 3 times. You get your special teams score. Your defense gets 3 turnovers. It played out exactly as Dan Campbell expected it to, and that is not something to be just like casually overlooked. That is knowing your opponent, knowing yourselves, setting up a game plan, and then letting your coordinators go fly with what the main goal is. And it's worked to perfection, almost to perfection. I guess you can't say to literal perfection because they've lost football games, but they've won more football games than any other team since November of 2022. And that's a lot to do with Dan Campbell getting this team prepared the right way starting on Wednesday.
Yeah, and I think that's something that it's a silver lining to me, or one of the narratives that I was been curious to watch as this season played out, now that Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn aren't here, right? Because I think prior to that, that's where a lot of that credit kept getting thrown to, is when the Lions just looked like they were ahead of the curve, in terms of like offensive production, or the defense, bouncing back really well. It was a lot of credit given to those coordinators, which they definitely deserve that as far as being part of the solution. But we were saying it even when people were talking about the narrative, like, hey, what is this team going to be like now that Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn are here? And it's like, well, this is still Dan Campbell's ship. Like, he's still the captain that steers us in the right direction. And I think through the first 4 weeks of the season, like, people are getting a really good glimpse of it, mainly because, and it might just be because they don't know these other coordinators, right? Like, they don't want to give too much credit to a Kelvin Shepard that's a first time DC. They don't want to give a lot of credit to a Johnny Morton that has had struggles as an offensive coordinator before. And so maybe by default, it's like, well, hey, maybe Dan is truly the straw that stirs the drink. And that's praise and credit that he's rightfully deserving of, Ryan, in my opinion.
I agree. I don't know if everybody else is totally willing and ready to give Dan Campbell credit where credit's due after spending the entire offseason claiming that it was the brain drain and it was the coordinators who made everything so successful. I've actually started to see a lot of people claim now, well, I mean, anybody could coach that team. Look at all the talent they have on it. I've seen comments about, well, like Brad Holmes is the one who really put this team together. It's like, do everything you can to not give Dan Campbell a challenge. Is this season, and I think at the end of it, Dan's going to prove a lot of people wrong. That, like, their initial impression of him was not who he is entirely, which is funny because we always claim authenticity with Dan, and that's what his opening press conference was. But like, not to that extreme, right? Like
Yeah.
it's people who made him into that caricature, that the kneecaps and all that stuff. But that's such a great place to be, though. Like, I just want to take that moment to, like, how long had the Lions been looking for a coach?
Hmm.
Like, just pulling data from last night to write my article. He is the fourth best winning percentage of any coach in Lions history. He's
And
chasing
that's with a
guy.
3-13-1 start.
With a
And then a 1-6
3-13,
start after that.
and yes, exactly, right? Like, he even with all those games played out as they are, he's 17-7 against the NFC North. Like, I don't know, like, that's how you build dynasties, though. Like, you build dynasties by dominating the teams in your own division, and the Lions have already played 2 of the games. They still have 4 more to go. I think that's that's what I'm most excited about.
Yeah. I will say one of the things I'm most excited about, and my biggest takeaway from this game, this offensive line has figured it out. I think, like, going up against this Browns defense, like, we were already kind of starting to move in that direction after the Ravens game, but I think there was a lot of caveat that people were putting on that, where it's like, well, hey, they don't have a Kyle Van Noy, Nnamdi Madubuike wasn't playing, like, maybe this Ravens defense isn't the defense of old. There were a lot of reasons to be hesitant to say, like, oh, this offensive line has really turned the corner, but we're talking about a second consecutive game where Jared Goff hasn't been sacked, right? And a like, was it a masterclass by Taylor Decker and Penei Sewell against Myles Garrett? No, but they did just enough to allow Jarrett, time, right? And yes, he was affected, and yes, some of those passes sailed, and some of them weren't quite on target. But in terms of, like, the concerns that we all kind of had for this offensive line going into the season versus what they are now, like, I'm feeling really good going through the rest of the season. I do think there are going to probably be some questions still to be had in regards to, like, when you look at this Browns defense, and I kind of asked Jeremy this before we kind of started recording, but like I'm not sure where this Browns defense is going to stack up by the end of the season when you compare all of the defenses that the Lions have gone against, right? Like, is this the best defense that they're going to see all year? Is this the top five defense that they're going to see all year? We talked about it. They still have to see Philly. They still have to see the Rams. Like they still have to see the Giants. Like those are still some really good defenses out there that could give this team some trouble. And I think, Jeremy, not to push back too much, but I think that is kind of where I push back a little bit on the narrative of like, well, hey, they can win in a bunch of different ways. And it's like, well, yeah, they were able to win in a bunch of different ways because they went against a team that doesn't have, like to your point, Ryan, like the haves and have-nots. The Browns don't have. They don't have a quarterback that can pull them out of the gutter when things aren't quite looking well. Some of these other teams do have those things. The Eagles have those things. The Rams have those things. Um, Giants don't have those things. But like there's the
They might.
Buccaneers.
Sure. Are you writing off Jackson Dart already?
I am not putting pen to paper just yet, but I mean the Bucks have those things, right? Like so that's where it is a bit of a tug of war. And people might say I'm being a wet blanket about it, but like that is the tug of war after a game like this where it's like, yes, this is probably going to be one of the best defenses you see, but there are still plenty of good ones down the road, and those teams have other things that this team just didn't have. And in a way, I will not disrespect this team and say that you got lucky because that again spits in the face of what Dan Campbell has put together from a strategy standpoint. But this was like into your to use your words, Ryan, this was a battle of the have and have nots. And the Lions just had more than this team did this week.
I think that's fair. They would certainly need to play better if they were up against an Eagles team, a Bucks team, a Rams team, right? Because I think you're right. The Rams would give them more outside of their defense. I would say the positive spin on it is I think a lot of the offense's failings were at their own hand. I'm sure we'll talk a little bit about Jamo in the second segment, but like there were a couple connections there that probably should have been made that weren't, and I'm not going to point the finger at one or the other at this point because I don't know. I can think of one specific drive where it felt like the Lions were moving the football and then they got back-to-back false start penalties, and suddenly it's 1st and 20, and that's the worst place you could possibly be against a team like this. And so, I don't know. I guess in general, I felt like this was arguably a top 5 defense. By DVOA, they're 2 through 4 weeks. We'll see. Like you said, that could look a lot different once we get further into the season. But you face a top 5 defense and you figure it out. It didn't look perfect. Your offensive line wasn't great. There were stalemates, like Graham was saying. But you found a way to make your offense operational. You found a way to get your explosive plays in the run game. You found your ways to keep Jared Goff clean, and while some of that is the offensive line, I think some of that is scheme and getting the ball out quick, and Jared Goff manipulating the pocket well once again. And that just proves to me that all these parts can work together even when you are out-handled, because I think that the Lions' offensive line was out-handled by the Browns' defensive line, but it never turned the game because the Lions figured out a way to make it work. And I think they'll be able to do that against most defenses this year, if not all of the rest of their defenses. It's just a matter of like, okay, but what if you have to go up against that and Baker Mayfield and, Saquon Barkley and Matthew Stafford? That will make it trickier. And there's still some questions about the Lions defense, right?
Yeah, and that's essentially what I'm saying, in the sense like that there is more that you're going to have to contend with, and that you are going to have to play better. And it's one of the things, going back to us heaping a bunch of praise on Dan Campbell, it's one of the things I love about Dan is that he doesn't just like rest on the fact of like, well, we won and that's all that matters. Like, yes, he's going to acknowledge the fact that they won, give the guys credit for winning, but also hold them accountable for playing at a certain standard that they have established as a team, Ryan. Like, it's not just Dan Campbell's standards. It's the standards that they have established over the time that he's been in Detroit with them.
Right. And maybe it is a quality opponent, and the Lions will rise to the occasion when they have to play the top tier talent in the NFL. Maybe Amon-Ra St. Brown won't stay up until 4:00 in the morning playing NBA 2K when he has to play the Cleveland Browns, or when he has to eventually play the Philadelphia Eagles, whoever it may be. But the other thing about the offensive line, though, like the just one of the funny takeaways from the game, and a comedy of errors between Kenny Albert and Jonathan Vilma, because holy smokes, if the Lions ever get stuck with another D minus broadcasting crew, there was a play where Jonathan Vilma was like, yeah, and Myles Garrett just beat Penei Sewell. And then it's the replay, and Penei's down blocking, and they tried to block Myles Garrett with Sam Laporta, and it did not work. It went about as well as you could imagine it going. And then Jonathan Vilma was like, oh, well, was it Penei? Oh, yeah, they tried to block Myles Garrett with the tight end. Like, that's Sam Laporta. Like, that's going to happen all the time. Obviously, the play was going the other way, so I understand why some of the rationale, but I'm not even going to put that on Johnny Morton. Like, I remember, do you guys remember the Raiders game from 2023 when the Lions were super shorthanded?
Yep.
Yeah.
And remember what Max Crosby did? There was some questionable, like, hey, we're going to put a tight end, or we're not even going to block Max Crosby because we're going the other way. Like, there were just moments in that game. We talked about it, though, in our first bite preview, Jeremy, where Tom was like, there's just going to be moments in this game where Myles Garrett just teleports, and he's going to be, through the offensive line in a hiccup.
Yeah.
Like, again, not the best performance, but you can just see the Lions trending away from week one. Like, I think that we can all sit here and we can all agree, everybody should agree, that week one is such an outlier. And it's funny because we're still in the same month in which it happened, but it feels like nothing like who this football team is after the past 3 weeks.
It's a testament to the coaching staff, I think, a lot, obviously to the players too, but of recognizing a problem and like immediately squashing it and immediately figuring out where the communication breakdowns were, where the weak parts in the offensive techniques, because technique was a big thing that they talked about after week one, and it looks so much better. And I want to take both of you made a point that I want to expand upon. One is the tight end on Myles Garrett. I think at one point Jared Goff in his post-game presser was like, yeah, I got us into that one time and I was wrong. Like that one's on me. And then Meko, with you saying like Dan Campbell has a high standard and isn't going to just sit on his hands and say like, well, we won, who cares? There's kind of like a push and pull there, because in his press conference he's like, you gotta be careful. You don't want to get into grading wins, because wins are wins. You'll take them. But also, if you watched his post-game press conference, most of it was him saying like, that's not good enough. We weren't at our best. We need to be better. And so maybe that's just like a different message for the media versus his own team. But I think you're right. Like, I think they know that wasn't their best football. And while they're certainly happy to win a game and find new ways to win games, they aren't going to sit on their hands and just be like, well, good enough. Let's move on.
Yeah, there's definitely room for improvement, but I think in the same way that they can find new ways of like continuing to win, you guys can find new ways of getting great quality snacks like Righteous Felon Craft Jerky. The Pride of Detroit podcast is brought to you by Righteous Felon Craft Jerky. It's the jerky that fuels the Pride of Detroit POD. Each 2-ounce bag of jerky has 16 to 20 grams of protein, and each stick has 8 grams. Trust me, if it's good enough for the Lions, it's going to be good enough for you too. Righteous Felon is based in Westchester, Pennsylvania. They use locally sourced, all-natural Black Angus beef and prides itself on superior quality, revolutionary branding, and unique flavors that go beyond the stereotypical jerky offering. We talk about this every single week when we do this podcast, but it is like my go-to source of like a snack protein. Like, I keep it in my backpack at this point, like a bag of jerky, a couple meat sticks, because I just never know when I need to get my protein in for the day. But on top of that, like, if you just enjoy good jerky, Righteous Felon is where you want to go. They have so many amazing flavors. Truffalo Bill, Marilyn Monroe, Darth Garlic is one that is just amazing. Like, I'm kind of mad that like it took me this long to find it, Jeremy, but it's something that people should absolutely heavily invest in, especially if you go over to righteousfelon.com and use the promo code POD15 at checkout to get 15% off your order. Again, that's promo code POD15 at righteousfelon.com. When we come back, we're going to talk about some other standouts as well as some other concerning things that came from this game, specifically looking at some things on the offense. And yeah, there are some injuries that we also got to talk about on the defensive end as well. And we'll talk about all that and a lot more right after this.
All right. We are on break. Sorry, someone on YouTube mentioned that the levels were a little off. I adjusted that halfway through the stream. Hopefully it's better on YouTube and Twitch. My bad. I can't seem to get it right week to week. I don't know why. But either way, hopefully it's good. Let me get to some alerts and then we'll talk some whatever. Week 4 football maybe. You guys
talk about ties.
Talk about ties. We can talk about some ties. Bring Zazu in here since he keeps mouthing off during the podcast and someone requested a cameo. But let me get to Austin Mammoth, 37 months subscribed to us on Twitch, says yummy. Not sure what that's in reference to, but I'll take it. Soulful Break, thank you for the 19 months subscribed on Twitch. Boofgerts, one of my favorite names to say, 21 months subscribed on Twitch. Schmeven, thank you for the 20 months subscribed on Twitch. Says first place after 4 games feels pretty good. I just wish we played the Packers this week. Go Lions. I've seen that sentiment a lot. I was just like, God, I want a piece of the Packers right now. I want to right that wrong so bad, and I totally get it.
Just wait. You'll get your chance.
I mean, it's on Thanksgiving, right? What better place to punch him back in the mouth than national TV?
And oh my gosh, just exercise the demons from the last time they came here and absolutely mollywop the Lions on Thanksgiving.
Yeah.
My one and only Thanksgiving game that I ever went to, and I was already I was pissed off within the first 5 minutes of that game.
Ooh, bummer.
By the way, you guys follow Colton, right?
Yeah.
He clapped back at some Lions fan who was like, I can't watch this anymore after the Browns' first drive of the game. I'm just like,
what? Come on, what are we doing?
What are we doing?
Someone else did that on Twitter in one of my comments, and I think it was after the Packers game. They were just I'm done for the season. I'm like, after one game?
That's what I mean, bro, man.
The NFL season turns us into crazy people because we spend all offseason being hey, you got to be a little careful. The schedule's tough. You never know. Week to week, you never know about the coordinators. This is a pretty good roster, but there are just so many things we don't know about. And then the first week happens, and we're like, it's all terrible. And it's just relax. Really, we all said it, might look rough in the beginning, but once you actually get into the season, it's hard to live by those words. And I get it. I'm guilty of it at least on a little level. I think after week 1 we were generally pretty level-headed on this podcast, although maybe someone can pull receipts and maybe that's not as true. But I don't know. The NFL season does crazy things to you, man.
Yeah. Was it fair to have doubts after week 1? Sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Oh yeah. The offensive line looked horrendous.
Yeah.
It was one of those performances where you're just well, I think that's always the caveat, though, when talking about these types of things, where it's well, if this is what it's going to look like for the rest of the year,
right?
This is going to be bad,
right? However, to Jeremy's point, where it's this is what I waited all summer for.
Right.
There's 17 more weeks of this crap. I'm done. I'm out. It's did you not listen to Dan? How many times did Dan Campbell say you don't really know who you are as a football team until week 5 or week 6?
I don't think we to your point earlier about we see Dan one way. I think we see Dan just like every other coach in the sense that everything just comes off as coach speak until it actually happens, and then it's just oh right. No, he actually was right about that.
Right.
Yeah, it's can you ever blame Dan Campbell for coach speak?
I feel like Dan's coach speak is of the level where there's so much truth to what he says, and I think, at least for me personally, I give a lot of that credence to or a lot of the credit of that to the fact of him being a player. So it's not just coach speak. It's also I've been through it.
Yeah, it has a level of perspective to it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a layer of perspective from the ex-player standpoint. Now he's the coach standpoint. But Jeremy, I think you will agree, the Dan Campbell who gets up in front of the media in 2025 is not the same Dan Campbell who was in front of the media in 2021. He certainly was a little bit more loose-lipped and
sure.
He's got an oblique strain and
yes, grade 2 and
yeah.
3 to 5 days. Yeah, no,
yeah.
He's a little bit more
under the
careful when it
gun a little. Yeah,
but like still pretty transparent, right? Like even today, and we'll talk injuries and stuff, but for him to basically announce that Alim McNeill is going to practice starting this week, which I think is something we should also talk on the actual pod about, but also be like, yeah, I don't know with DJ Reed, but we're thinking about he could be on IRR, but we think the timeline's right around there. So it's like, oh, okay. So you just told us like 4 to 6 weeks. Great. Good to know.
yeah, that gets you in trouble though, because then when it's not 4 to 6 weeks, where it's the Miles Frazier situation, where it's like,
yeah,
oh, it's taking a lot longer than
right.
we had anticipated.
But normal people look at that and be like, hey, you lied to us. They'd be like, oh, well, everyone rehabs at their own speed.
Yeah. Alerts.
Let me get to
alert. Here we go.
I feel like his cadence was different last night. Dax, was he here we going? I thought it was something different.
I didn't.
Nope. It was here we go.
Night. Was it here we go?
It was here we go, and I hate it so freaking much.
Dude, I love it. It's my favorite thing.
It's very weird. Irwin, 44 months, says Al's list of runs against Cleveland is amazing. Let's go. Yeah, let me put it on the screen for the people in case you haven't seen it. So it's the longest rushes the Browns have allowed this season. The first 4 are Detroit Lions players. Jahmyr Gibbs, 24 yards. Jahmyr Gibbs, 22 yards. Jahmyr Gibbs, 9 yards. Jacob Sailors, 9 yards. Emmanuel Wilson, 9 yards. Jahmyr Gibbs, 8. Jahmyr Gibbs, 8. Jahmyr Gibbs, 8. Lines are pretty good. Oh, I just realized that I'm on this screen and not the other fellers. Let's get off it. I don't like that.
Go back to Triple H and Shawn Michaels hitting the suck it.
What?
There was a
that's all that, like,
gif.
that's all.
Yeah,
was
I
that
saw
on the
Meko
screen?
laughing, and I knew it was. Yeah, it was on the Twitter feed. Yeah, the people in chat saw it too.
I'm opening it again. I don't see it. Hold on. Where was it? Oh, I scrolled down. Okay, I see it now. John Morton to Jim Schwartz.
Oh, yeah, great. Awesome. I love that.
Funny. Ho-Hey, thank you for the 6 months subscribed to the channel. Pirate Dog 35 months subscribed on Twitch, says Browns. Haha, the Browns. Was there any question? Seriously, Super Bowl this year, it's time. Dang. Already buying your tickets to San Fran? Maybe you get a good price on a resale if you need to.
Maybe they're just a big Bad Bunny fan.
Don't start any. Apparently, anytime you pick a musical artist, that becomes a political debate. Apparently, great. Good job.
More
society.
alerts, please. More
mad
alerts,
about
Okay.
please.
dumb things.
Never mind.
Chris, thank you for subscribing on YouTube. All I have of your information is Chris, but thank you. And then Mr. Ralph Furley, thank you for following on Twitch. And we're caught up.
Oh, that's not a lot of alerts.
No, and you know what? This is going to be our last stream of September.
Only 48 hours left of bonus gift subs.
Yes, September, which, as we found out during the Madden Sim, I think, anyone who gifts 5 subs or more, we get a bonus sub from Valorant. They just, an account named Valorant gifts another sub.
Like the video game just gives us an extra sub.
Yep.
Okay, that's what I was asking. I was like, is it like a video game or like a person? Like, is a person just out here throwing money away?
Yeah, I don't quite understand. It like automatically does it. Immediately shows up. I believe there are other like discounts happening on some of my Twitch pages. It was like 25% off a sub. So if you want to get in, if you want to support us, and it just if you just want it to be one time, this is the time to do it. Get a little extra discount. Doesn't come out of our pockets, comes out of Twitch pocket. We get paid the same. So just consider it for the next hour or so when we're live, because this is going to be the best time to do it. And you can also, like, if you want to be super special, like, you can buy ahead of time. You can buy months in advance at this discounted rate. Just throwing out there. Not trying to pressure you. Or you could
Not
just
a bad idea.
link your Amazon Prime account to your Twitch account and then subscribe to us for free. That works too.
Or be lazy.
Or be lazy.
Two places.
That's true. Ties?
Yeah.
Do we have tie hot takes?
I just bow ties.
I hate them. I hate them. Because I just I needed one of those teams to lose. Like, I guess a tie is fine because
tie is kind of ideal. Like the fact that
that's what I said. Like, I kind of like it, but I just feel like I hate when we get late into the season and then it becomes like this whole well, because this team tied, now all of this crap is more confusing. Like, it's easier when it's just like, hey, we have more wins than this team.
That's what Kyle Brandt said. His take on Good Morning Football today was essentially like, I love it because now you have to break out the rule book in a few months when you're trying to figure out tiebreakers.
I actually think it makes it a little bit easier. Like, you don't have to go 5 tiebreakers deep because it's like, okay, this team has a tie. That's a half a win, half a loss. I can do the math. 10 wins and 7 losses is not as good as 10 wins, 6 losses, and a tie.
I just don't want to have to. Like, it's supposed to be football. I shouldn't have to do tie. I shouldn't have to do math.
I'm just saying the other tiebreakers are way more confusing when you're like, okay, well, they're tied on conference record, they're tied on division, but you have to do the division tiebreaker before you do the conference tiebreaker. And like that's the stuff that like I'm just like throw a tie in there and I know who's better than the other. I don't.
And trust me, I get it. Like, no one wants to play another like quarter of football or anything like that. Like,
yeah,
even if you were doing it like college rule styles where like you're already in the red zone, like it still probably wouldn't end. Line everybody up at like the 65 and just being like, whoever makes the kick wins.
Absolutely not.
No,
absolutely not.
Meko, what an awful idea. Do not turn this into a kicking contest. We're not taking what would ostensibly be a 70-minute football game and then going Benjamin.
That's what it turned into last. That's what it turned into last night anyway, because apparently the Packers don't know how to manage a clock.
Okay, so like,
and also are afraid of one kicker.
That was the big takeaway from last night, is that the clock operator for the Dallas Cowboys is on LinkedIn today, right? Like, he is on Indeed. He's looking for a new job. Jerry Jones had him fired immediately. That clock should have been at 0. I'm sorry, but that clock is at 0.
If that was at Michigan State Stadium, it definitely would have been at 0.
Did we not hear enough of that last night? Like, I didn't read hardly anything from this morning. And granted, like, I wasn't scouring the internet while I was at work, but was there no blame going around for Jordan Love's big brain moment? Like, or Matt LaFleur for that matter? Like,
I saw Packers fans are happy with Matt LaFleur.
Yeah.
Are Packers fans ever really happy with Matt LaFleur for like too long of a time?
You made that sentence way longer than it needed to be. Are Packers fans ever happy? End of sentence.
Period. Yes. Packers owners. Are Packers owners ever happy with their football team? No. But yeah, I mean, I think the most interesting thing that anybody brought up, because the NFL keeps on touting this as, oh, both teams get a possession. As Alex Reno brought up on Twitter, he was like, well, what if just one team has a 10-minute drive?
Yeah.
You're not getting 2 possessions.
You don't get... I remember that question specifically getting asked at the owners' meetings this week, and I'm like, oh, like, that could be awesome for the Lions. They can have a 10-minute possession. They've done it already this year, right? Like,
right.
They could just run the ball a million times, and each team gets, 2 timeouts?
They do. And it's like, well, if you kick it, make sure you like down it at the 5-yard line.
Right. And then start your drive. And just 11-minute drive, but without the last extra minute. No, I don't mind ties. They're weird. I did watch the Kyle Brandt thing, and I think the part that I agree with him is just like the awkwardness of, okay, I guess we're gonna interview both quarterbacks after the game, and they're both gonna have like this weird, like, I don't know if I should be smiling or not attitude right now. But at the same time, like, you definitely felt like the Packers were upset and the Cowboys were kind of happy.
Well, yeah, the one team got blew out the week before
Right.
and looked like they were like marching towards probably having like a top three pick, and then the other team was just like, oh, we're people are gonna start calling us frauds, which they rightfully should.
The one thing that I want to do away with ties though is we can't talk about kissing sisters. Like, can we
Oh
stop
God.
talking about
Oh
kissing
God.
sisters with ties?
Certainly not with Jerry
Yeah,
Jones. You saw that clip, right?
I saw your screenshot of the reporter's face.
I gotta pull it up because I mean, just how can there not be a million people around Jerry Jones that are like, hey, don't go in front of microphones anymore. Like, just stop. Like, you don't.
Did you see him before the game though in the broadcast where they had him talking to why am I blanking on the Cowboys old coach? Jason Garrett.
Mm,
They had Garrett and they had man, forget her name. But they like interviewed Jerry Jones before the game.
yeah. Did he say something
Like,
stupid?
well, Jerry's just like talking and talking and droning on, and you can tell that they're like they like want to get in and say something, but Jerry Jones is just very much like when we traded Herschel Walker. It's
Oh,
like, okay, all right, we get it, Jerry.
God. The people around that man are doing him a disrespect by not stepping in.
I feel like Jerry Jones though is like every person that reaches that age in life where like they no longer have a filter. The problem is like people just keep putting microphones in his face and no one puts microphones in our grandparents' face. Like no one's asking our grandparents to talk on a daily, weekly basis.
Yes.
And so like there's a part of me that's just like this is what you get with a dude that's is Jerry 100 or like 90 something?
I don't think he's 100, but he's not that far off.
He looks it.
All right, we're gonna watch this. Hold on. We don't need to see me twice. I'm zooming in on the whole video so you don't see the quote in case you haven't heard it yet. All right.
I've never kissed my sister, so how's it taste?
I wouldn't know you.
That's all you need to see. I don't know. I haven't kissed my sister.
I've never kissed my sister, so how's it taste?
How's it taste? He makes it sound like he's actually considering it. Well, okay, I'm not going to say no to kissing my sister. How does it taste? What?
No,
What?
It's not edamame. Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not. You're not sampling something that has been delivered to the table that you've never had before. Also, Meko, would it shock you if I told you that Pete Carroll is only 9 years younger than Jerry Jones? He's coaching an NFL football team. I mean, yesterday it looked like he was every bit of 74 years old, coaching that football team. But Jerry's only 82. Well, he's going to be 83 here in a week or so.
I mean, he looks every bit of it. Maybe, and then some. Ah.
Sorry I brought it up. I made you play it.
Let me transition to the other worst thing about that broadcast, which is like the extreme, and I understand why it happened in this game, but like the extreme infatuation with Micah Parsons right now is out of control. It was out of control in the Lions game. It was out of control last night where they're like, wow, look at this play Micah Parsons almost made. Stop. Please stop. Please.
Did you hear Kenny Clark's name mentioned once before the? I don't know how much you watched the lead up to the game, but like I did not hear a single peep about Kenny Clark in. I mean, he's facing his former team that he had been with twice as long as Micah Parsons. Like, and there was no mention of like, oh, what's Kenny Clark going through? Nope. Like, I think I can say this without any reservation, and I can say this full stop. Nobody has ever treated a non-quarterback like this in the NFL.
You mean media wise?
Yeah, media wise. Like Micah Parsons is getting more attention than any non-quarterback in the history of me watching football. I don't think there's anybody that comes close.
It's the Cowboys effect. It has to be, right? Like if Micah was coming from like the Saints, do you think this would be as big of a story? Like people would care this much?
No, no, I agree. I agree. Like the Cowboys factor definitely matters. I think what ups it even more though is that he's going from the Cowboys to the Packers.
Oh yeah.
Like if it was from the Cowboys to I almost said San Diego Chargers, but that kind of proves my point.
Right.
But like if he went from, to any other team that wasn't considered like a blue blood
Yeah.
NFL franchise. If he went to the Carolina Panthers, people would be like, "Oh, Micah Parsons is good."
We've also seen the peak of it, right? Week 1 was a peak of it against the Cowboys, a peak of it. It's gonna cool down for sure, but it's obnoxious.
I mean,
at this point.
especially if they keep losing and tying. Awesome.
PFF had him as their highest graded player on Sunday. Did you see that? And they were in the replies fighting with people.
Weird. It is funny that I don't know if you saw Dak's reaction to him hearing that they credited Micah with a sack for 0 yards.
Mm-hmm.
He was like, "Really? They gave that to him? What? Really? Whatever. I guess he can have it. I guess he can have that."
Terrell Owens is a good answer.
Yeah.
Terrell Owens is a good answer. But this has been outrageous.
Yeah.
But I think I agree, Jeremy. I think we might see a gradual kind of release.
Yeah. For sure.
I hope so.
Anything else from week 4 that you think warrants a discussion?
I saw something earlier in the chat about, does Ben Johnson have like a weird post game like locker room celebration or whatever that he has with his team? Like, what the hell is that about?
Well, I think the Ben Johnson controversy this week was his halftime interview.
Yeah, I saw that too. I saw Ryan shared that.
I need to see more of the context of the question.
Did you only see like the 6-second clip or the 30-second clip?
I did. I didn't see the 30-second clip. Do you have that? Can you play that for everybody?
Yes. There apparently he has also addressed it today, which I have not seen yet. Yeah, I saw it come across my Twitter timeline, but I didn't watch his explanation.
I kind of want to. Can we watch that in real time and react to it?
Sure.
Is that what the kids like these days in the chat?
Halftime. Wait, hold on. Let me find the actual clip.
And I know he wasn't the only head coach that was a little snippy this week. I think the Titans coach got after somebody in his press conference as well.
Plus, there was the Jaguars guy getting into it with Saleh. That's fun.
Oh yeah, I saw that too.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Did you hear Salah's comments that he made?
That he's sign stealing? Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Here's the. Oh man, this might get us demonetized, but whatever. This is the halftime interview, the full clip of it. But I think most of the offense comes with.
We're going to come back and establish. All right.
Here.
You need to change what you're doing.
I don't know. You think so?
So like what you can't see is there's like a mild smirk there. But then here you can't really see it. Like there's kind of a stare down.
No, and there's like a lean in.
Oh, there's
a
straight up stare. Yeah.
Yeah.
But okay, but
We're going to be just fine.
the lean in there is because she took the mic back and he wants to talk into the mic. Right? Like that's what's happening with the lean in.
What you're
I think.
doing.
Well,
I don't know. You think so?
But she's also leaned
We're going to be just
in.
Yeah, and then she leans back. I don't know. To me, I think some of this is a little bit overblown. but I'm also kind of a Ben Johnson apologist, and I understand that.
Yeah. No, you are for sure.
Let me. Okay, I only have the quotes. I don't have the actual clip of him addressing it today. This is from Peggy Kusinski, who is ESPN radio Chicago Bears person. It says Ben Johnson addressed his exchange with the reporter, and as we thought, he did not hear the exchange correctly and thought Ididi was making a statement and not a question. Here's his answer today. In the moment, I didn't think too much of it. I'm in game mode, but then when I look back at it, I am a little disappointed with what that looks like. I didn't hear very well, and that's not an excuse, but when I thought I heard I needed to make some changes and not a question, I didn't take that so well.
Yeah, I think that's what HSW pointed out, is like, it sounds like that reporter was summarizing what he was saying and throwing it back to him.
Yes.
By saying, like, you need to change what you're doing. Like,
Yes.
it didn't sound like a question, but it was her summarizing and then also throwing it back to him in a way.
Yep.
Yeah.
And if you can see the non-pixelated version, because there's some of you that are like, oh, like, I don't see much of it. Like,
Right.
you can see it.
You can see a little pissed offness for sure.
Which, according to his answer, I guess, or the way that he kind of described it today, like, I don't know. I guess maybe I'd act that way if I was coaching Caleb Williams too.
Actually, I actually do have the video of Ben Johnson explaining if we want that.
I don't know. It's up to you. I don't know if this is a Ben
all
Johnson
20,
show.
all 22 film breakdown of a press conference.
Oh.
The bigger story is that the stumble bum doesn't work when you have a crappy team.
Oh, that's actually, yeah, we can definitely talk about that.
I'm just watching that game in real time on Red Zone, and I see it happen, and I immediately recognize it. I'm just like, that was the stumble bum.
Yep.
That was the stumble bum. They're trying it again. The announcers were perplexed. They're
Yeah.
like, oh, Caleb trips coming out of the snap. And I'm like, guys, what do you mean?
So why do we think it didn't work this time? Is it the execution or the fact that people are like, hey, Ben Johnson has this play. If you see a quarterback stumble, just like, don't even bother. Like, don't even pay attention to it.
Because our offensive line is terrible. Like, that was the reason
That's
the play failed. Like, Caleb immediately had to scramble. It didn't work.
Also, was it DeAndre Swift? Was he the running back in at the time?
I think so.
Yeah.
He didn't sell it the way that Ja sold it in
Right.
Chicago. Ja, like, got on the ground.
Yeah.
DeAndre kind of,
Yeah.
just went through the motions. I mean, it's not like we're accustomed to him doing that in Detroit. So
I can tell you why Ben Johnson think it didn't work. Because he said,
why
quote,
is that Ben Johnson apologist?
want me to do my Ben Johnson impression?
So you need to change things up.
What? I can't do a Ben Johnson
Well,
impression. He says, quote,
Why didn't it work?
we have a group of guys who come up with plays, and we felt like that could take advantage of something we saw. We were really in 2-down territory, and in my mind at that point anyway, so I knew we were going to go for an explosive on that one, and if we didn't get it, we were going to go for it on the next one. It happens sometimes. That's the cost of doing business. Some of them hit, some of them don't.
Yeah, so I think like you should kind of retire that one, right? Like it worked once, it was great. Never do it again.
That said, the fake flea flicker was awesome. Do you guys see the fake flea flicker?
The fake
I did
flea
not see
flicker
that one.
it worked to perfection.
It did.
Minus the fact that DeAndre Swift got a face mask penalty on it.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that. I forgot.
Like the heat taken off of DeAndre Swift yesterday, because my only big takeaway from yesterday's games were my other big takeaway from yesterday's games was
Anyways.
But not only did A.D. Mitchell fumble the ball out of the back of the end zone,
Did he do
The
something
Colt-
else?
yeah, the
Oh
Colts
no.
had it had to been 40, 50, 60-yard run by Jonathan Taylor that went to the house for a touchdown to put them up late. That got called back because of an A.D. Mitchell holding penalty.
No.
I could use those fantasy points.
Yeah, he had a no good bad game.
It's rough. I'm long past the making fun of players who drop the ball early across the goal line. Now I just feel I know there's no excuse for it now, and you should finger wag and say, hey, you can't do that. You're stop celebrating. This isn't doing your job, blah blah blah. But I just feel terrible about it. Feels like because of how often it happens, it feels like it's just something that is way easier to do than maybe we think. I just feel bad for him because I also know they're getting death threats and stupid people talking about their not that I'm throwing you in with this, Meko, but really complaining about their betting or their fantasy team and how you ruined it and
I genuinely don't know if I actually needed Jonathan Taylor to score any more points in that game.
right. But yeah, you're not getting in his Instagram DMs and sending him terrible things.
No, those are weird people.
Yeah. Weird's one word for it.
Yeah, that's true. You could use other adjectives that would suffice.
Boofkers, threw in some channel points to dig into your bookshelf, Ryan, which reminds me I need to get rid of that channel point redemption.
Might want to get rid of that. But I will give you something from my digital bookcase.
Yeah.
I just sent it to you guys in Slack, but sorry, Jeremy.
Why are you sending me this?
I mean, I know that there's probably a little bit of I know you like you some Jared Goff, but
I do.
Oh,
why? But are you doing this? What are you trying to tell the people with this? That Matthew Stafford is still good?
Yeah, I mean, I think
it
the
looks
Rams
like
are...
he's wearing a loincloth in this photo.
He does. Oh boy, especially with the way that he's flexing,
right.
But those are incredible numbers.
They're pretty good. They're pretty good.
Yeah.
He was mic'd up. That's why. Can't
Maybe
lose
it's as simple as that.
no, I'm with you, Ryan. I think they're going to be really good this year.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Evan Brewer, thank you for the follow on Twitch. Hydra, thank you for gifting a sub. Appreciate you. And Douglas Rhodes, thank you for subscribing over on YouTube. And we're caught back up. You guys want to get to it? I know Monday Night Football is beginning here.
Yeah, there's Monday Night Football.
Yeah.
Double dose.
Yeah.
I don't really care about either game, although I guess I'll pay attention to the Bengals because they're the next matchup and all. I'd like to see Aaron Glenn get his win too.
Austin Mammoth brings up, I guess, the final point about these games and Thursday's game, but those rivalry jerseys are cheeks. They're bad.
Which one?
They're all of them.
All
I
of
saw
them?
all of them. They're all bad. They're all.
I like the Cardinals helmet. I did not like the jersey.
I was going to say, I like the
Loved
Cardinals
it.
helmet.
Love the helmet.
I thought I liked Buffalo's. I can't remember what Buffalo's looked like, though. Off the top of my head.
Have they already worn it? Or just...
No, but I know they revealed them all.
Yeah.
Buffalo's jerseys are all white and blue. There's no red.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think this would be dope if they ever get to wear them when it's snowing. Because good luck trying to figure out who the hell to hit.
That's fair.
Yeah, I don't know. I kind of like the whiteout aspect of it. Again, the helmets are really cool. Helmets probably are better. Is definitely better than the actual jersey.
Yeah, which is that's such a... It's kind of like a reversal of where the Lions were with their black jerseys, where I I could buy in on the uniforms, but the helmet was just like it doesn't go well with it for me personally. But
Oh, I do like the Niners jersey, and Miami's is kind of cool.
I liked the
I
Niners
did all.
jersey until I saw it on a player, and I was like, oh, I don't like it as
Ah,
much. Are you looking at just the uniforms, like
yeah.
jerseys on their own? What? And then once I
No,
saw it
I was
on a
looking at
player,
like
I
the
was
media
like,
photos.
yeah.
Let me look at the rivalry.
Yeah.
49ers. Oh, the video. Hmm. Boop.
But I'm
I
also
don't know
like
what I
pro
think.
black jerseys, so
I kind of like the font, honestly. The font's kind of neat.
Got a little like circus font kind of to it, right?
Yeah.
yeah.
Little bubbly.
I'm not generally a fan of the all black uniforms because everyone's got a version of them and it's boring to me. I don't know.
Yeah.
It's also weird when it like the Seahawks had a rivalry week jersey, but like they didn't wear it against
Right.
the Cardinals. It's like why aren't we wearing like
That's kind of
you
what
guys
I was
both have
thinking,
them.
right? But I guess you probably want to
I was at the
debut it at
point-
home.
Oh, okay. That
That's-
makes sense.
That's what I'm guessing, at least. But I don't know. I think back to like the very first Thursday night games where like they were debuting color rushes for both teams, and it was ketchup versus mustard or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think we panned it at the time, but I'm kind of like there's a little bit of me that kind of misses that.
You miss seeing like Blake Bortles in the mustard jerseys.
That's right.
The
When do we think
Eric
we're gonna see the
Ebron color
first-
rush that never happened, Miko.
That's
The
right.
Eric Ebron color rush jerseys that never happened.
Yeah. When do we think we're going to see all black jerseys, like first game?
I don't know if it's been announced, but I would guess Monday night against Tampa Bay in a couple weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what kind of I was thinking, that they're probably going to save it for a Monday night game.
Yeah.
Kind of like they did with Seattle last year.
I think it's
Yeah.
fair.
Did they wear black jerseys like on the road at all?
No.
They only wore them at home, right?
Yeah.
Did they wear them week 18?
Yeah, I think they wore black uniforms in week 18. Yeah. That sounds right. Yeah.
I feel like they wore them. Did they wear them against the Bills too? Because I remember after that game, I was like, I'm done with them. Never wear them again.
Chad is saying Seahawks, Bills, Vikings. Yeah.
Yes. Yep.
So sandwiched in there is the ultimate poop sandwich. Good. My
Great
God,
bread.
get it off my television. Yeah, this sourdough is incredible.
We're wasting it on a big turd right in the middle. All right, I think turd sandwiches is where we turn the corner and talk. Go second segment here.
Perfect. But
So we can talk about Tyrion?
Jamo injuries, more turd stuff.
Tyrion. Oh, man.
K note though, real quick. I think that is the plan. That next year the Lions get rivalry jerseys.
Yep.
Show us your bed first.
No. Chat's being weird again. Twitch chat's being weird again. YouTube, I've always liked you more.
Oh.
All right. I'm ready when you are.
Pitting our audience against each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, J Pook, that is not a command.
And welcome back to the Pride of Detroit PODcast second segment here. Wow, that sounded weird. All right, guys. So we talked about a lot of good things, at least in regards to Dan Campbell, the offensive line in the first segment. But we didn't shy away from the fact that this game did have like its low points, and there are a number of different places that we could start. Jeremy, what direction do you want to go in terms of like things that just didn't quite land well in this game for you?
let's get the Jamo conversation out of the way because I don't want to spend a lot of time on it, to be quite honest. It was an ugly looking game for Jamo and Goff. Like let's throw the two together because it takes two to tango when you're passing the ball. They just weren't on the same page for most of the day. The deep shot where Jamo looked over one shoulder and then the other one was always going to be a tough one to bring down. But the fact that he looked over both shoulders told me that probably wasn't on the same page with where he expected that ball to be. There was the deep shot that was the interception, that the Jamo was just nowhere around. And I hate to be that guy, but it just feels like this is kind of what you get with Jamo sometimes because these kind of games aren't completely out of the ordinary for Jamo. They don't happen very often anymore, but like they happen. It happens in training camp some days. It happened a couple years ago. It happened once or twice last year, I'm sure. And it just happens. And then everything is fine after that. And I thought Jared Goff was very mature in handling it after the game, saying, a lot of those are on me. The interception was my fault. I made the wrong read. I could have put the ball in better places. And when it comes to Jamo, he is steady Eddie. When it comes, I'm pulling a direct quote, steady Eddie, throughout the week where, I trust him on Sundays. I know that what happened today was not the ordinary thing out of him. It's more ordinary than it is for someone like Amon-Ra, right? That they're not on that same level. And I don't know a quarterback and a wide receiver who is on that same level, but I'm not worried about it. It looked bad in the moment. I'm not one of these people's like, oh my God, they paid $80 million for this guy. What are we doing? It was a bad game. It happens. So what?
I was gonna say that's kind of how I chalked it up. I think, like you said, Jeremy, there's kind of blame on both parts because I think depending on which route that you're looking at, like some of it's on Jamo's fault, some of it's on Goff's fault. I think Dan did a good job of even breaking it down today in his press conference of like, when you go back, you look at the tape, there's a lot of nuance that goes into this. And so it's not as easy, I think, to just say like, oh, well, Jamo's not doing his job well, or that Jared Goff isn't doing his job well. They were, like we talked about in the first segment, they were going up against a really difficult defense, and there was a lot of pressure on Goff. There was a number of those throws where he didn't really get a chance to like step into them and really, deliver them probably the way he wanted to. But yeah, when you have a couple passes that do hit Jamo in his hands and they kind of, bounce out of bounds and things like that, it's frustrating in the moment. But I think the thing, Ryan, for me, that's always encouraging is how Jamo responds in those moments, right? It like, that those things matter to him just as much. So it's not like he's just like, oh, well, whatever. Like he's to Goff's point, like he seems to be heavily invested in the offense and he's always kind of like, it's not like he's in la la land somewhere. Like he's trying to make a play, and like Jeremy said, like sometimes it happens and sometimes like you don't make those plays necessarily.
Yeah, can we not say the same thing for David Montgomery this week too, right? Like it just wasn't his week. Good thing it happened against the Cleveland Browns in week 4. Right? And also, hey, good thing you have Amon-Ra St. Brown to pick up the slack when Jamo's not having his best day, or you have Jahmyr Gibbs who can pick up David Montgomery when he's not having his best day after he had an incredible, game a week ago. Jameson Williams, 21.4 yards per catch. That's the only number I care about for now and forever. So take that for what it's worth. But I mean, I think Jared Goff just didn't have a very good game. It wasn't up to his standards either. I mean, this is a guy who, coming into this game, his completion percentage was in the high 70s.
Yeah. His
completion percentage on Sunday, I mean, he was 16 to 27 for under 60%. It wasn't his best day. It wasn't like, I don't think it was just a Jamo thing. Right. I think that the one thing that you can see with Jamo specifically is those moments happen with him and you hardly see them happen with other guys. Yeah. So that's where I think it's fair to infer that Jamo's got some blame to share. And I'm sure that Jamo would accept his, share the blame in any of this too. But again, like, I think it all just kind of washes out to being a nothing burger because it was week 4 against the Browns and they won 34-10. Right. Like, to Biko's point, it'll get cleaned up next week, Jeremy. Like, yeah. I think that you'll see Jamo play awesome against the Cincinnati Bengals.
Yeah, I think the only reason this quote-unquote matters is if we go back to what we were saying in the first segment, where if you're playing a more complete team, you have to connect on those, right? You can't have those mistakes, otherwise they're going to prove costly, especially against a defense in which, I mean, the whole point of getting Jamo involved the way they did was, let's get some of these Browns defenders out of the box. Let's stretch them vertically so that they take us seriously. And sometimes you can just get that respect by trying. Like, you don't necessarily even have to connect on them, but just continuing to try it is going to theoretically open some stuff over the middle. Whether it did or didn't, I don't know, probably didn't too much this game because the Browns are pretty insistent on loading the box. But that's why you do it in that game. And when you do it, like Dan said, like, you have to find your openings, you have to take your shots, and when you take those shots, you have to convert on them. Didn't need to this week against the Browns, but if you are playing a more complete team, yeah, you're going to have to make those plays.
Yeah, that's definitely one area where, like I said before, like they didn't quite land a plane exactly there. I think another area where I won't say that it's necessarily they didn't land the plane, but I think like it's a second week where we're talking about Terrion Arnold in terms of like just his overall performance. But this time we also have to talk about injury because it's not just Terrion, but it's also DJ Reed and what type of like, you know, influx this is going to kind of have on this secondary as a whole, Jeremy, because it's one thing to be like, hey, no, we can have Rockyason play outside. We can move Amik Robertson, to the outside as well. But there's not that many bodies left in this secondary where you can just like kind of have that next man up, mentality at the ready, right?
Yeah, I mean, it certainly sounds like the Lions are at least going to add some depth here, maybe just to the practice squad, or I don't know. We'll see. If you're expecting a big trade or anything like that, I don't think that's in the cards, especially with the kind of news that we got that DJ Reed's injury is not season ending and it's short enough where they're at least still considering whether or not they're going to put him on IR. So, it sounds like it's around the 4 or 5 games he'll miss kind of expectation here, and Terrion might play this upcoming week, but he might not. It certainly sounds like he'll be back the week after that. So the injury news isn't as bad as maybe it looked on game day, but it also probably means I would not expect this team to make like a big move, considering that they expect to have both those guys back by November. It sounds like. So in the meantime, yeah, I think they are going to kind of have to rely on those guys. You're going to have to rely on Rockyason. You're going to have to rely on Amik. You might have to rely on Khalil Dorsey when you go to nickel looks. Maybe nickel looks means you get more Avonte Maddox in the nickel. But it's not going to be ideal. I would argue that outside. I was about to say they really haven't had good cornerback play through 4 games anyways. So how big of a step back can this really be? But at the same time, like, I do want to give DJ Reed his flowers. Like, after that first drive against the Browns, he was fantastic. And really, he's been pretty darn good the entire season outside of maybe that opening game. So he's going to be missed, no doubt about it. It's going to be up to everyone else, and not just these corners. It's going to be up for the defensive front to be a little bit more urgent getting to the quarterback. It's going to be on the linebacking crew to hit home on their blitzes or drop into coverage and deal with their new cornerbacks and meld with them and have the right chemistry with them when it comes to coverage looks. But yeah, I mean, it's going to hurt. It's not going to be good. The Lions' pass defense already hasn't been particularly great so far this season. So there's going to be a little added pressure, more pressure on the safeties, right, too. So it's not great. And I hope Terrion is not only gets on the field soon, but improves upon his play. But it's going to be a little tough waitings here in the next month. And we were talking about how this schedule doesn't really let up. I mean, you got Patrick Mahomes waiting for you in a couple weeks here. So it's going to be tough.
I was going to say Patrick Mahomes and Baker Mayfield in a couple weeks, Ryan. I will say, going back to Terrion, so we did see him kind of split some reps with, him and Amik as far as playing outside corner. Obviously, with there being this injury now, obviously the Lions are probably going to have to lean more on him heavily, but like, I don't know, like, where do you think they kind of go from here in terms of like his development? Because it does seem like he's just kind of still struggling quite a bit.
Yeah, and what I think was it the third defensive drive or the second? I can't quite remember if it was the second or third drive by the Browns where Amik took over for Terrion outside.
I'm
But
not sure. I think it was a third, but I'm not sure.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
mean, you saw an improvement, I think, in the defense moving from then on. Um, it's something tricky in the season though, right? Like this isn't something where you can afford the opportunity. And I think that's where we ended up last week, right? Like against the Browns leading up to the game, there was the discussion and there was Dan Campbell saying one thing and there was Calvin Shepard kind of backing that up, but also trying to not lay it on too much, but frame it as, well, we need to get Amik Robertson on the field. Amik made plays yesterday. Amik had passes defended. He had pass breakups.
Hmm.
He had an interception that I'm sure he would tell you that he should walk away with, 10 times out of 10. And it just happened to be a drop. That was the way they framed it leading into the game. Unfortunately, the reality is now that he's being forced into that spot. I think you do needed to see more Amik Robertson, and unfortunately, that does come at the detriment of a guy like Terrion Arnold and his development. It, it's just the nature of the NFL, I think, and putting the best guys out there, putting your best 11 out there to accomplish what you want to accomplish, and that's shutting down the Cleveland Browns, which they eventually did on offense. They stopped them. So, whether or not how much that had to do with Terry and Arnold being out or in, they're going to need him. Like he's going to
Yeah.
have to play. Like eventually, if it's not this week, and it sounds like at the very worst case scenario, he'll be back for Kansas City. He's going to have to be back. He's going to have to be back, and he's going to have to be ready to play because, and it's Rakestrow's not walking through that door. It's uh, it'll be interesting to see. I mean, Jeremy, what about even the idea of? I mean, could you see Brian Branch playing more nickel in spots, not taking him off the field, right? But maybe even dropping him down and bringing Avonte Maddox in at safety to maybe get some of those looks that you want to get. I don't know. Like
Yeah.
maybe that's on the table. I have something else I want to talk about with Brian Branch too. Like stop with the penalties. He leads the NFL in penalties on
Yeah.
defense. He has 6 penalties on defense. And I know the name that Jeremy, I know you brought up trades, and I think some people are looking at the Seattle Seahawks and they're like, oh, what about Tariq Woolen? Yeah, Tariq Woolen has 6 penalties too. So
Yeah,
I don't
he's
know.
not playing well. He doesn't defend the run well. He doesn't play a lot of man. Like it's not a good fit. The only thing that is a good fit is that like he's on a really cheap rookie contract right now, the last year of his rookie contract. So that makes sense, but
Nothing else makes sense. So
nothing
let's
else
just
really
put
makes
that to
sense with
bed.
him. A lot of other people have pointed to Greg Newsome, the Browns corner. And that makes a little bit more sense, except that he's on the 5th-year option of his rookie deal, which is at like $14 million, and the Lions aren't going to pay that. So
I mean,
they'd
they
have
weren't willing to do that for Zadarius Smith. So
right. Especially again because they're expecting to have DJ Reed back in a month or two. They aren't going to shell out $10 million, which I would imagine the prorated version of that contract would cost for a temporary fill-in. And you could say, well, just start Greg Newsome over Terrion. And yeah, I get that, but they still believe in Terrion. They don't want to put that to bed right away.
I had a different name that came to mind, and I've like been trying to keep it in the back of my mind, but it's there. It's a familiar face that some people feel strongly about here. But like,
Will Harris?
would you entertain CJ coming back?
No.
No.
Nope. Not even a little bit. I don't think he's right for the locker room. I don't think he's, and plus like I don't where does he help you? Nickel? They still need more help on the
nickel.
outside. But they
But I think
I
if
need outside.
I think
Give
if
me an
you
outside
were,
guy.
but that's what I was like saying. But like if I like Amik outside, like I honestly would not like bat an eye if they like pulled the trigger and were like, hey, we're gonna have Amik play outside, we're gonna have BB play safety, we're bringing in CJ just to kind of, again, he can still kind of split snaps with Amik. Obviously, he didn't take that well the last time, but I mean, that's what essentially what you would be bringing him in for, anyways, and it'd be much more transparent of like, yeah, you're coming in here to split snaps because we're kind of struggling at outside corner. We don't want to stick Amik out there all the time, but I'm trying, like, I get what you're saying in terms of like wanting an outside guy. I still think the Lions are going to be, if they decide to bring someone in from the street, like it's got to be somebody that can play multiple positions in the secondary. Like you can't just be an outside guy. You got to be able to play at least nickel, if not safety as well.
Yeah, that's probably true. I think the plan right now is Amik is your CP1 probably this week on the outside. Like, and I would assume that even when they go into nickel, they're probably just going to keep Amik on the outside because they just don't have the bodies on the outside. They have guys that play more nickel, and so I think it's probably Vontae that's the starting nickel, and Khalil Dorsey is your other outside corner at the moment until Terrion is healthy. Or Rock.
Yeah.
I think it's probably Rock. I think Rock.
No,
is probably,
I was gonna say,
yeah,
yes,
Khalil
definitely Rock.
Khalil was the first one who went in the game on Sunday, and I was like, okay, that's weird. And then it was like one drive, and they're like, oh wait, no, Rock. We forgot you were there, Rock. You go in and play outside corner.
I do think this is an opportunity though, Ryan, for like the defensive line to really like step it up this week. I think going against a Bengals team that has for years struggled against defending and protecting their quarterback, like this is a week where, if you're Kelvin Shepherd, if you're Dan Campbell, you're probably looking at that defensive line saying like, hey, you guys are going to need to help out the secondary a little bit more to make their jobs easier. But I do want to talk about what you brought up with Brian Branch, because it is probably the weirdest development for this defense, which is like one of their best players causing the most just random penalties that are really killing drives for me.
Took away a strip sack.
I mean, it was a strip sack one week. It was the turnover in the Packers game in week 1.
Terrion's interception.
Terrion's interception against the Bears. I don't think it's not nothing. You know what I mean? Like it's something, and I think it goes back to really the Packers game, because it wasn't just the play that erased the turnover that could have been a touchdown, but it was the grabbing the helmet and throwing it, right? Like it's kind of like
those are the ones you can't excuse. Like you can use like coverage. I get it. Like you're trying to be physical. You're trying to stick with your guy.
Sure.
Some of the late hit stuff, a little less excusable. The throwing the hat, personal foul, unsportsmanlike conduct stuff has to go for good.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that stuff is just too backbreaking because it's 15 yards.
Yeah.
Who knows if it happens on a and the Lions had one of these yesterday, but like on a 3rd and forever, and we get an illegal contact penalty or something, and then it's Jeremy's eye is twitching for those who are only listening, because that is the worst thing that can happen. It's not nothing, but I think you summed it up the right way, Jeremy. It's not the effort plays that you want to condemn him for making these mistakes and costing the team, but it's the extracurricular stuff, or it's that fine line though. I think the play that stands out the most to me is the play against the Bears, where it's like, okay, like that's a cool play, but also what were the odds that you weren't going to get a penalty by jumping 6 feet in the air and coming down on Caleb Williams? Like you didn't think that was going to be a penalty. And I think hopefully they get it reined in sooner than later, and I don't think it'll be a problem long term. But right now, like the proof is in the pudding. He has 6 penalties, and he leads the NFL in penalties.
I do wonder,
go ahead,
though, Jeremy. I mean, I'll throw it to you though, but I am curious. Like, do you think this is more of things that he's not doing right, or more things that teams are doing to him? Because that's primarily looking at like the illegal contact, the holding. Because like you're talking about BB is like 5'11", right?
He's not a big guy. Yeah.
Right. But you're talking about, a smaller safety having to cover 6'3" and taller tight ends in a lot of these situations. And I feel like when I watch these replays of these penalties, it doesn't look like anything different than how he's ever played, but it does in some senses look like maybe these tight ends are trying to body him more and making it a little bit more of a challenge of where he has to play through them, and these calls just aren't maybe going his way.
Yeah, I mean, I think there might be something to that. I think part of it is too, like, this is just the brand of football that the Lions play. It's not, just him. Terrion's getting similar penalties. everyone in that secondary is getting similar penalties. The Lions led the league in illegal contacts and defensive holdings last year, right? That's just the style that they play. It's part of the reason they tried to.
Why they changed the rules.
It's why they wanted to change the rules. Like, that's just how we play. That's the only way you can kind of win playing man-to-man in today, is you have to be a little bit physical. You have to live on the edge of legal and illegal. And unfortunately, the Lions have this reputation that officials are very well aware of. And I don't know. It's frustrating for sure. And it's going to cost them probably a lot against the Packers, because they're the team that really likes to milk that kind of crap. Play a brand of football that I think is immoral and terrible, and I hate every single time they throw the football.
Immoral.
Immoral. 100% immoral.
Unethical football.
And throw the, like, let's rush the play to get 12 guys on the field too. That belongs in the same category of just immoral, terrible football that, like, you aren't even trying to play well. You're just trying to make the other team play bad, and I don't like that. But anyways, soapbox over. I also think with BB, it's a little bit just, he plays such a physical, reckless, I would even say, brand of football that you love 85 to 90% of the time, and then it's just the 10% where, like, oh, you launched yourself at that dude and got a 15-yard penalty and got ejected. I don't like that part, and it's almost like, well, you can't really have that part without the other part, and
right.
It's tough.
It is a tough give and take, but if I'm gonna do a Meko-esque transition here, you give a little, you might take Alim McNeill back and put him back on that defensive line a lot sooner than later, huh? Like that was the most surprising takeaway from Dan Campbell's press conference, right? Like,
yeah. I mean, you talk about...
I sat up.
you talk about, like, hey, you're going to need the defensive front to compensate for some of the misses on the back end. Well, getting a pass rusher in the middle of your defensive line, there you go. That's what you need. You're not getting a lot of pass rush from Tyleek right now. You're getting a little bit more than I expected, to be quite honest, out of DJ Reader. But Alim is an entirely different conversation, and I still probably don't expect him back before the bye week. If they do start his clock, and it certainly sounds like they're going to, you get 3 weeks of evaluation if you want them. You can start them whenever you want. You can put them on the 53 whenever you want. But generally speaking, the Lions like to give these guys time to actually practice and get their feet and get in football shape, all those sort of things. And, the next 3 games, you use those 3, and then you come back week 9 against the Vikings, and you have Lee McNeill. I'm down for that game plan.
Or you bring him back against Kansas City, and he gets a couple sacks against Patrick Mahomes. I would like that probably a little bit more, especially considering how Kansas City looked now that Worthy's back in the lineup. I would much like to have some interior pressure on that offense.
I wonder truly how close Alim is to being back on the field. Because I know there was that percentage thing that he threw out, which 100% had to be a 6-7 joke.
What did he say, 96, 97?
No, he said he was 90, 93, 94, 93%.
Oh.
Like,
yeah. So the
healed
of that
or ready.
6-7?
Yeah.
All right. Great. You're on to kids too much.
But in order to understand the kids and to understand when Alim McNeill will come back, you need to think about these things. But I think that in the grand scheme of things, if they get him back after the bye week, that's awesome. Like, I mean, I think something that we didn't really talk about at all in the course of the podcast was, like, I see, like, Tyleek Williams making a lot of plays. Like, I see Tyleek Williams providing more pass rush stuff than I was anticipating this early on. And I'm not saying it's a ton, but I'm saying that it's more than I was expecting at this point in his rookie season. I mean, we're a month in, and I think that we're getting a little bit more than we were anticipating. And you have them. I mean, if you have him and you have DJ Reader and you have Roy Lopez, who's a contributor, you can afford to bring Alim back in a way that you don't have to saddle him with too much at once. And you can really afford to bring him along And maybe you don't feel the effects of bringing back a 300 pound plus defender who's coming off of a torn up knee. And, hoping, Jeremy, that you can throw him out there and he can play 55, 60, 65% of the snaps.
Plus, I mean, I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves here, but, a guy like Marcus Davenport is already 2 out of the 4 necessary weeks he has to sit by. And so, like, there's a chance that you get both those guys back in the same week, Davenport and Alim. And then you have, let's just run it down. You have Marcus Davenport, you have Aiden Hutchinson, you have DJ Reader, and you have Alim McNeill at the midway point of the season. And is that going to look perfect right away? No. Is Alim McNeill going to be an absolute game changer right away? Probably not. But you get those guys a full month in November together, and then they're gelling by December.
Oh. Well, at least they're ready by Thanksgiving. And for the Packers, that's all I care about.
Here comes circling that game again.
I feel like we danced around like one of the main things that we probably should have talked about in this game that we like somehow didn't talk about. And I'm used to doing this with like Jared Goff a ton, where we like talk about all these other great things that happens with the offense and we never talk about the dude orchestrating things. How the hell did we not talk about Aiden Hutchinson like at all until just now? Because Aiden
he's a backup tackle merchant. That's why.
You guys clip that and make the rounds and make sure you send it to Lions media. So that when Aiden has 4 sacks against the Bengals, they can run that in their clip.
Oh yeah, the outstanding tackles that the Bengals have. I'm still seeing the Penei Sewell meme like every other day.
It might be my favorite meme. It feels a little bit bad that I enjoy it so much because it's come at the expense of Joe Burrow's like physical health.
Yeah, right.
But I can tell you without a doubt, the thing I hated the most about this game was seeing Aiden Hutchinson get the wind knocked out of him.
Oh,
and everybody in Ford Field thought the season was over.
The funny thing was, from my
that
point
smash
of view,
cut to the fan who was.
If you ever want to see like the soul leave an entire fan base at one time, see a dude like Aiden Hutchinson get the wind knocked out of him.
From my point, so I'm like at the exact opposite end of the field where that happened. I'm kind of more on the Lions sideline and towards the corner. That happens in the other corner. I didn't even know who was down. Like, I didn't have an angle to see who was down. And then once I saw it was Aiden, by then I had seen, I can't remember which player it was, but there was, I think, a defensive back that went up to him and immediately turned around and gave like a double thumbs up. I'm like,
I want to say it was DJ Reed. I think it was number 4. And
Yeah.
I was like, but I don't think I saw that on the broadcast because they immediately cut to every Lions fan,
yeah.
their souls leaving their bodies.
It was that, and then I think the next thing they showed was Derek Barnes on one knee, and it's like, no, like that.
They were really,
Like,
they were
no,
really
no
milking
one
it. Like,
wants to see this.
they're like, we got it. We got to get the real sad shot here and make every Lions fan depressed and scared. And oh man, I'm glad I didn't experience it from that point
We
of view.
can really make this season all about Micah Parsons.
Oh God.
Oh, you know how like terrible this podcast would have been about like how much we would have had to talk about just Zadarius Smith and how Brad Holmes missed an opportunity.
Oh God. But anyways,
Jeremy would have 100% told us, like, I don't know, I've heard some things about Hassanin. I think he's going to come back soon. Maybe Pascal. Wingo won't be inactive all the time. He has some outside pass rush, and we don't have to do any of that. So I'm so happy. But there was like 15 to 20 seconds where
Pure
like,
dread.
oh, this is happening again.
Yeah.
yeah.
I
But anyways, he
I
was
will
great,
say
right?
though,
Yeah,
I was gonna say like no, it's against the Browns. They obviously were down some tackles, and obviously that impacted the game in a big way. But I still think like these are big confidence boosters for Aiden. I think these next couple of games, like take advantage of a depleted Browns offensive line. Take advantage of a depleted or just less than quality Bengals offensive line, and then try to keep up with Juwan Taylor trying to get a false start that's not going to get called when you play against the Kansas City Chiefs. Like, those are the things that you're going to need from Aiden just to kind of, I think, in the same way we're talking about like, hey, if you can get Alim back after the bye, if you can get Marcus Davenport after the bye, if Aiden is really like hitting his stride by the time we were coming out of the bye, that will go a long way in settling me down when it comes down to playing teams like the Commanders, the Eagles, the Rams. Like if Aiden is in prime form at that point of the season, I'm gonna have really, really high expectations for this defense. And it's not even just because of him either. Like Jeremy, like Jack Campbell's playing
Yes.
amazing
Thank
the
you.
last
Dude.
few weeks.
That
Thank
play
you for
that he
bringing
made
that
on that play he made on that fake screen that he sniffed
Yes.
out. Oh my goodness. Like, yes.
Into my veins. Like,
Yeah.
dude is I had high expectations for Jack coming into the season, but I think he's really like living up to the hype in a really big way through 4 weeks.
The only thing I'm still like I want to see him still take a step when it comes to pass rush. I still want to see him take a step when it comes to like dropping into coverage. But everything else looks pristine right now. Like him as a run defender, outstanding. Him in terms of just like seeing the game better, definitely way better. And I think the example you just brought up is a perfect example. I'm just waiting for it to like 100% come together. It's like 95 to where he wants to be. And listen, because the Lions are such a let's stop the run first team, he is a major asset to what they do. I'm just waiting for that one clip against Ohio State where he dropped into coverage perfectly and he picked off the quarterback. I want to see that play. Once that play's there, then it's just like this dude is a top 3 defender on the team. Like that's where he's headed. I don't think he's quite there yet because the Lions have Aiden, the Lions have 2 really good safeties. DJ Reed is probably in that conversation as well, but he's close. Like he is right there right now.
He had 7 stops on the day yesterday. The team as a defense had 20, according to PFF. Jack Campbell had 7
Right.
on his
And
own.
A stop is defined as like a failure for the offense.
Yeah, and that's both in like run. So I just double checked. He only had 3 run stops. So 4 of those stops were in the passing game, including that one play that we just highlighted. So yeah, Jack Campbell stock up. But I have a question, and I kind of wanted to make this a segment for you guys, and I'm just like springing it on you right now. So I hope you're ready for it.
100%.
Let's go.
I know for First Bite we do the one thing we think we know. For these podcasts, I want to hit you with like the one thing you want to know by the end of what, like when we have our conversation next week, when we convene after the Lions and the Bengals play. Like, what's one thing you want to know that you don't know about this football team right now by the end of the Bengals game? What's something that you just want some clarity on?
I mean, the layup answer is at corner, right? Like, I want to know that the Lions' corner depth can step in and look decent for a game. I want to know that Rock Ya-Sin and Amik and, whoever else is in that conversation can come in. And listen, Jamar Chase is not going to be an easy guy to cover. Neither is, why can't I think of the other guy's name?
T. Higgins.
T.
He's good
Higgins.
too.
T. Higgins.
Pretty good. Not going to be easy, but I hope that not only, from being quite honest, I kind of hope that Kelvin Shepherd lays off a little bit of the man stuff against them and says, hey, that's just not our strength this week. Let's keep our eyes on the quarterback and pick off a guy who's thrown, 6 interceptions already in 2 games. Then this is before whatever he does on Monday night here. But yeah, can not only the Lions defensive backs step up the depth step up, but can Kelvin Shepherd do what a good coordinator does, which is mask their weaknesses for a week?
Yeah, and play to their personnel strengths.
That's good.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. What about you, Meko?
I like that. I would say I would like to know, or at least like to have greater confidence that this linebacking core is like a top 10 linebacking core in the NFL. I think like we just talked about Jack playing really well the last few weeks. I feel like outside of that, this linebacking group has been fairly quiet. Like Alex has had maybe a play here or there. Derek Barnes has had a play here or there. But I feel like this linebacking group has been fairly just like quieter than I think they have been in past years. And I don't know if that's just because like, hey, the defensive line is playing so well in the run game. Obviously the secondary, we kind of talked about it being kind of up and down, but yeah, I just feel like I would like to know coming out of this week that like, hey, this linebacking core can really impact the game in a big way.
I'm looking at the Bengals, and they cannot run the football at all whatsoever. Like, and I don't think it's a Chase Brown thing. I think it's their offensive line is completely broken.
Yeah.
I
Mhm.
mean, to and that might be putting it mildly. Like Chase Brown has 47 carries on the year for 93 yards. He's averaging he's
Oh,
averaging 2 yards a carry.
that's not broken. That's like McDonald's ice cream machine,
But
like not not functioning.
right, and I th and it's just like I know that's not a Chase Brown thing. Like a running back cannot average 2 yards a carry in the NFL. So I think it's an offensive line thing. So I think the one thing that I want to know at the end of Lions Bengals is that the Lions defense, if it can continue to bully disadvantaged offenses, right? If there's offenses that don't have an identity or, if it is for the Bengals, it is to kind of Jeremy's point, right? Like if you know that Jamar Chase and you know that T. Higgins are the way that they're going to move the football, can they can Calvin Shepard put together a game plan to like, okay, that's how you have to win. That's how you are going to have to move the football on us. And if we know that's how you are going to have to move the football on us, we know that you won't be successful because we'll have something to stop it, right? And kind of brings us full circle back to Jeremy's point, with the player who had mentioned that Dan Campbell's kind of like strength is that he probably walked in there today and was like, all right, here's what we know about the Bengals and here's where we're going to exploit them on defense, and this is what we're going to do. I the thing I want to know at the end of Lions Bengals is that their defense continues to like bully teams.
Just looked at PFF scores, and PFF scores are what they are. The Bengals team run blocking grade is 37.8.
Oh,
A
oh
good
no.
12 points lower than any other team. Pass blocking, they're 25th at 50.6. So offensive line, very much an issue in Cincinnati, and very much, I mean, they might run for 20 rushing yards all game.
Oh, whoa, hold on. Don't jump to the one thing you think you know, Jeremy.
Oh, sorry. Oops, sorry. Hold on. And we haven't seen them on Monday night. Maybe their run blocking grade jumps
Against
all
the
the way up
Broncos?
to 40 total.
That's not happening. A marginal
Yeah.
improvement.
Oh man, Pat Surtain's about to have like 3 picks today. Like, I'm kidding, but no, I think I like that as a segment. We should definitely keep that as a part of the podcast going forward. I think that's a good addition.
Thank you.
It can replace
R.I.P.
the
R.I.P.
short stinted T-Pain player of the game.
Louisiana hot sauce player of the game.
Oh man. All right, guys. Well, that's pretty much going to do it for the podcast. Obviously, you have this week. We will have Before the Roar up on your podcast feed over on Thursday, as well as Midweek Mailbag will likely be up on Wednesday. Nope, no Midweek Mailbag.
No midweek mailbag because it's a Pride of Detroit Direct exclusive this week. End of the month means only Pride of Detroit Direct subscribers get the midweek mailbag. So if you want to be a part of that, go to prideofdetroit.com/subscribe and become a Pride of Detroit Direct subscriber and get a whole bunch of awesome new content.
See, then you don't have to miss out on anything. Then you get everything. You also would get First Bite, which is also a part of PODD. So, if you've been missing out on that piece of content, because I did see somebody on Twitter that was asking, like, hey, don't you guys do a preview podcast where you talk to people that are, on the other side of things? They do. So that's how you get that piece of content as well. If you guys have been enjoying the podcast, or if you guys want to find other ways of supporting us, like Jeremy kind of mentioned, I believe during our break, it is September, so we kind of have one last day of doing that. Or I guess by the time this comes out, it will be the last day of September. So you can still do that. You can also go over to our YouTube channel, subscribe to us over on YouTube, hit that notification bell. That'll make it easier for you to be notified when we upload new videos, as well as go live over there on YouTube, as well as on Twitch as well. So with all that said, I'm Meko. He's Jeremy. He's Ryan. Thank you guys for taking the time to watch and listen, and we'll see you guys in the next one.
Recording stopped.
Apparently some crazy stuff happening in Monday Night Football. I don't know
Did
what.
Darren Waller catch a touchdown?
He did. Good for him.
Yeah.
Thank you.
good for
Jeez,
him.
and Miami's gonna probably win a game.
Oh, poor Aaron Glenn. I tried to warn you guys. They're
I
like,
hope
oh yeah,
not.
they're gonna win more games than the Bears. I'm like, come on. That Jets team is not good yet.
I bet you the Jets win tonight.
Down 10-0 right now. Bet on them live right now.
I was gonna say I'll put my money where my mouth is right now.
What's the line? What sort of odds you getting?
Well, I don't think I can. No, John Johnson.
Now
No-
we talked a little Requel,
No
and
Tariq Woolen.
we think it's a pretty bad fit. Plus, I don't think the Lions are going to trade for anybody because they're going to have all the guys they want in a month and a half, maybe even just a month.
And like a month and a half is 3 games and the bye week.
Right. Wow.
Yeah.
The Jets already have 103 rushing yards in this game.
So that's the thing. That's why I do believe. That's why I do believe in them.
Justin
Like,
Fields has thrown the ball one time for 5 yards. What is going on in this game?
sounds like a recipe for success.
Oh, they fumbled. Oh, did they fumble on the goal line? They sure did.
Ooh, that's tough.
And then
Ooh.
Miami drove 96 yards.
Did their best Detroit impression. They must have picked that up over the summer in Allen Park.
All right. I suddenly support you betting on the Jets straight up. Go for it. You have my blessing.
You're enabling me?
You have my blessing, which is probably the most dangerous thing when it comes to sports betting because I'm terrible at it.
You got to be right sometime, right?
Same.
I don't
Or
think
is
that's
that
how that
is that a
works.
fallacy?
That seems like a very big fallacy.
It was just black 10 times in a row. It's got to be red.
RGA, thank you for the 10 bits, says Jamo is steady as a mouse. Bounce back this week.
Ooh, steady as a mouse.
And Kick Puncher 19 months says Dan Campbell said Max Clock might start. I heard Max Clark, and it took me way too long to understand that a Tigers prospect is not going to start for the Lions. I blame staying up too late for that gross tie. Great DC article, Ryan. Go Lions.
Boom. You
What
weren't
do-
the only
what do
you
you
weren't
think
the
the
only one who
cause-
fell asleep during Sunday Night Football.
I did too. I missed the entire third quarter and half of the fourth quarter. Then I woke up and I'm like, oh, this game's close. Oh, the Cowboys are winning. Oh.
What do we think is the cause of the Rodrigo slip up by Dan?
I still don't know. And here's the thing. I thought that it was going to be cleared up when they sent us the transcript, and I think they just like deleted it. Like deleted that part of his. I'm trying to I don't know. A lot of people have just guessed Roy Lopez, and I don't. I'm like, are you accusing Dan Campbell of being kind of racist?
Oh no.
But
I was
yeah,
just trying to think of like what other linebacker wears a number in
Did
the 40s. I'm like, I think it's only Jack and
did he say linebacker? I don't even remember the full context of the quote anymore, but like the quote sheet that they sent us out does not have Rodrigo in it.
yeah, he was just kind of like listing players off, and he said Rodrigo, and I was just like, unless Malcolm made a return and nobody decided to cover.
They just broke the rules of waiting 4 games to return a player from IR or pup or whatever. Thanks, Riley. When that question was asked of him saying like, hey, any of these guys that are eligible to return, like getting close, I fully expected him to say Rodriguez. Like I've seen Rodrigo in the
Same.
locker room a bunch. He's walking fine. Like him and Alim have been in the locker room quite a bit. And so I was just like, oh, that dude looks right. I even turned to Rodrigo last week. I'm like, hey, getting close, huh? Gave me a little nod and a smile. And he didn't mention him at all, which I'm just like, did he forget him? Or does he just think Rodriguez has been here playing for the last 3 weeks? I don't know. I don't know what's happening.
Do we need to go back and watch? Do we need to go back and watch the All 22? Is Malcolm wearing somebody else's jersey?
Right?
They're skirting the rules.
It's very I mean, it was a very weird comment, and I still don't have an answer. But I do expect Malcolm back very soon as well. It might even be this week. It wouldn't surprise me if Dan just forgot to mention him because he's so excited about Alim.
I think that's the thing that does like makes this defense scary though, is like when you do start, like I think it's so easy to forget in the course of the season because primarily because of us, like we're looking ahead at like the next opponent, so we're not looking too far ahead. But like you forget like, oh yeah, Alim is coming back and it's like probably relatively soon. Oh yeah, Marcus Davenport isn't going to be out for that much longer, possibly. Like,
yeah, I mean,
even with DJ Reed, like it's not going to be season ending. It's not. We're not talking 6-8 weeks. We're probably talking 4 or 5.
Yeah. I mean, I know everyone hates Marcus Davenport and thinks he's not gonna be healthy for the rest of the season and all that, but like that initial report said he's on IR and should be back not soon after. And so again, like 2 of those 4 weeks are already gone. 2 of the 4 games he had to miss were gone. And did you miss him? Like, not really, but at the same time,
it's just one of those cool things after the bye, right? Like it's reasonable to expect that he would be ready after the bye.
Yes, 100%, and even possibly before. 1 game before, right? Just 3 before the bye.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he's eligible to be back for. I don't have the schedule in front of me.
Run Justin Fields.
What's the game before the bye? Is that Tampa or is that
Tampa.
Kansas?
Monday night Tampa. Yeah.
Tampa.
So he could theoretically gets that extra day. It's a Monday night.
I mean, Lions came off a short week and beat up on Cleveland.
It's true. It's true. Anyways, reinforcements are coming. Of course, like there's a good chance someone gets injured along the way, right? The one thing that we can't do that we always do is like
we don't say that. Why would you say that?
Because that's how the game works. We all assume like, oh, this defense is going to be great because they're going to get this guy back and this guy back and this guy back, and no one is going to get injured in between then. Like that's not going to happen.
I understand, like that's the reality. You just don't say that though. Like you don't verbalize that.
It's 4th and 5, and they're going for it.
Oh, I want to watch it. Put it back on the screen.
They have to.
No, don't do that. Broadcasting Monday Night Football on our stream is probably bad.
That'd be
Oh no, Justin Fields.
Do you throw a pick?
He fumbled.
Oh, boy.
Turnover.
Oh.
Oh,
Boy.
Tyrod Taylor. Why? Why are you doing this to yourself, Aaron Glenn? Stop. Quit trying to make Justin Fields a thing.
Trade for Kirk Cousins.
I haven't seen a guy fumble like that on 4th down since Lamar Jackson.
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
Wow.
I feel bad for Lamar Jackson.
I do too. Things would have been so much better if the Lions would have just traded for him back in, what was that, 2022, when people were like...
You were calling for it, weren't you?
Yes!
Okay.
Wait, calling for what?
Trading for Lamar?
The Lions to trade for Lamar Jackson.
Oh my gosh, dude. I would trade for Lamar Jackson.
You literally can't.
And I would not apologize. Like, no, you can't. But, like, I wasn't going to apologize for that at all. Like, we're talking about one of the greatest quarterbacks in the league right now. You want me to be like, oh, that's a terrible... No, it was not a terrible take.
In a bubble, not a terrible take. But financially, team building, I don't think it would have worked.
No, probably not. But, like, hey, we just gave Dan all this props about, like, you know, how he can... You know, he's such an amazing football mind. He would have figured things out with Lamar, and they would have won a Super Bowl by now.
Hey, remember after week 1 when the Lions should have made Tanner Angstrand their offensive coordinator?
Oh, yeah. How's that been going?
Turns out maybe takes after 1 week. Maybe a little bit premature.
I wonder... I hope he gets benched, because it's the only way that this bet's going to come through for me.
I mean, if it stays this close, they have to at some point, right? Like, you can't... If it stays 10-0,
Well, like Jeremy said, like how many rushing yards do they have?
Like 100, right?
105 on 14 carries. How are you losing 10-0?
It's kind of
Yeah.
incredible, honestly.
The other team is averaging 3.8 yards per carry.
Bro, bench him at half. Like that. Like you have to, right?
He's 3
Bench
for
him
4 for
now.
21 yards. He's killing it. 75% completion percentage.
He's 3 of 4 and he's been sacked twice.
I mean,
He's 3 of 4. And he's
this
been
is
sacked
Miami
twice.
Dolphins defense we're talking about. It's a brick wall.
Yeah, dude, they were giving the Lions fits over the summer. I remember hearing about that. Unbelievable. This is. Don't let me down, Aaron Glenn.
Don't let me down. All right. I think it's time to get out of here.
Yeah.
I'd like to watch this game myself. Got some work I got to do. I still haven't watched all of the all 22. And I got to start preparing tomorrow's mailbag that we're going to record for Pride of Detroit Direct subscribers. PrideDetroit.com/subscribe if you want to become a Pride of Detroit Direct subscriber. Anything else before we get out of here?
Real quick.
Last chance to drop
I was
a
gonna
5
say-
gifted
I
sub
was gonna
so
say.
Valorant can gift us a sub.
Shout out to everybody that's been checking out Before the War. It's been awesome to see like the views on those kind of like be taking up as much as they have been. So really appreciate you guys showing a lot of support for the new preview podcast.
Yeah, you guys are doing an awesome job with that.
Yeah, good stuff, guys. GG's in the chat. Not for the Jets. It's not over yet, but GG's for Meko's latest preview podcast endeavor.
Oh, damn!
Oh,
Yeah, Detroit just dropped 10 gifted subs. It hasn't shown up yet, but it's about
heck
to.
yeah.
There it is.
Yeah, buddy.
Thank you, yeah, Detroit. And Valorant drops 2 gifted subs automatically, which is still very weird to me.
Let's go.
Thank
But
you,
thank you,
video
Detroit.
game.
Thank you, video game that I played probably 2 or 3 times ever and rage quit at least 75% of those times. I don't rage quit games, but I think playing Valorant was the moment I realized that video gaming has long passed me by. And like, there are people that just are way, way better gamers than me, and I don't want to be in a pool with them ever.
I got a Movember thing for you then. We should like, if we hit a certain amount, Jeremy should have to play Elden Ring. You want to talk about rage quitting?
Elden Ring?
That would be
Oh boy.
would be hilarious to watch.
Let me ask you a
Would be
question. Do you have
pretty funny.
any idea how much it's going to eat up my computer?
Oh
Like, does
man,
it take
after watching that Ben
Oh.
Johnson video, your computer cannot handle it.
Well, we do Madden here, and Madden
Look.
is trouble.
Look, you and I are both in the same boat because I also need a new laptop apparently because I've been lagging a ton.
Yeah, that is true. I figured that was an internet thing with you, but maybe not.
I don't know.
Yeah. Mighty2 Hottie dropped 5 gifted subs as well. Making Valorant drop another gifted sub. Appreciate you, buddy. Thank you for all the gifted subs, y'all. I feel like we never hear that alert anymore, so it's always good to hear it. Maybe I'll crank it up a couple decimal levels too and really scare the crap out of myself. Remember when we just blasted it back in the day and it would literally make me jump?
Yes, I do remember that.
And then we got so many complaints on YouTube. It's like, I can't hear anything you're saying. Which, fair complaint.
Yeah.
It's kind of why you tune in, is to hear the words that we say, not to hear an air horn. I get it. I'm not blaming you guys. All right. Time to get out of here. We will be
Yeah.
live. We're not going to be live until Saturday next, but plenty of video offerings on our YouTube page, youtube.com/@Pride of Detroit, including Before the Roar. I guess that's it this week. Oh wait, no, are you guys going to do some film breakdown stuff too?
We need to. We have like been slacking on film breakdown, so hopefully we'll get something up on Friday. I'll check with Morgan.
We got a full week again. Last week, I think we were all just like trying to get ourselves prepped for Sunday. Feels like we can breathe a little bit more this week.
Yeah, I just instinctually today, like when I was on lunch at work, I was just like, I got 5 questions. I'll start writing them. And I was like, the Bengals haven't even played yet.
Right. They're the ones that are going to be scrambling this week.
Dude, exclamation point, Jeremy's made bed needs to become a thing.
No, absolutely not. You don't even understand what that's all about. I'll tell you after we're done.
I have a feeling.
You might know what it's about. Anyways, guys, I'll see you guys Saturday. Have a great rest of your week. Goodbye.